payments through the American Rescue Plan. The monthly installments will be paid through December, with eligible families receiving up to a total of $3,600 for each child under 6, and up to a total of $3,000 for each child ages 6 to 17. Democratic Congressman Colin Allred wants to know how the child tax credit payments are helping Texans in his congressional district. So on Friday, he released a survey asking North Texas families to weigh in on the impact of those payments on their lives, saying in a statement, quote, "I was raised by a single mom and can only imagine what a difference these changes to the child tax credit would have made for our family." He tweeted about Kelly and Ben, parents to 4 children who have been diagnosed with autism, who said the child tax credit would help them offset the insurance costs so they can afford therapy for their kids. And about the Chavez family, who will use the payments to buy notebooks, uniforms, and other school supplies. Joining us now is Democratic Congressman Colin Allred of Texas. He is a member of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. And it's fascinating to hear and read what you're discovering about what this tax credit means in your district.
Yeah, well, thank you for talking about this, Lawrence. It's been a tough, year plus for families. With this pandemic, with kids being out of school, being out of childcare, and this is a really big deal. This child tax credit for us is basically Social Security for families with kids. As you said, putting money in folks' pockets right when they really need it. Having been raised by a single mom who was a teacher and who never made much money, I know what just a few $100 a month can mean. And the stories that have been coming in have really been inspirational. I mean, people buying school supplies for their kids, their tuition for their kids' preschool, just covering groceries and everyday expenses, therapy, as you talked about. It's a really big deal.
And talk about what is coming or could be coming down the line from the infrastructure bill that is going to be done through reconciliation, which is much bigger than the bipartisan infrastructure bill being negotiated in the Senate now.
Well, I think it's a big deal for families. We have things like paid family leave, which, as you know, has been something I've been passionate about. I was the first member of Congress to take paternity leave. We are the only of our peer countries that doesn't have a paid family leave policy. Also, universal pre-K, trying to deal with the costs of childcare and capping those costs, those out-of-pocket costs for folks when it comes to childcare. This has been, as I said, a really tough time for American families, but it's not just been this last year and a half. It's been for years and years before this, where families are working harder for less. They're having a harder time saving for their kids' college, sending them to the schools they want to send them to. It's time that we have our policies catch up to what's going on in our families. And that's what I think the American Families Plan is trying to do.
Now, you're on the Infrastructure Committee in the House. You're watching this bipartisan infrastructure attempt in the Senate, which might be near death or it might be near passing. We don't know which. Let's for the moment assume that the Republicans kill the bipartisan deal in the Senate. What does that do to the Democrats-only process in the House, and how much could you take from that, what is in the bipartisan bill, and move it into the Democrats-only bill to get done within that bill?
Yeah. Well, first of all, obviously, I hope that the bipartisan deal is not dead. I hope that it goes through. There's a lot in there that I do support. And, I think there's a lot that we agree on in our committee. When we talk about, hard infrastructure, so to speak, there is a lot that we agree on. And so I think the American people want to see us reach a bipartisan agreement. But if they don't, then we're going to have to take it up as much as possible in the reconciliation package, because this is really not an option for us. Our infrastructure has been given a C- in terms of the grade that it has now. We're the richest country in the world.